Well, congratulations. You had to come from behind twice to earn a hard-fought point. What was it like to play in that today?
It was a tough match. I think it's always difficult to come to St James's Park, and I think we did well, especially this guy here, helping us get back into the game. I think it's always tough away from home, and we showed the mentality that we've been working on through the season.
Just explain the belief that you guys had on the pitch when, of course, Cristian scored that first equaliser. How much momentum did that give you to see that you could get something from this game?
A lot of momentum. I think every game he leads by example. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and we try to stay in the game always. Like I said, it's tough to come here. But yeah, I think we showed that mentality that we've been talking about, and I think that's the most important thing.
Cristian, talk us through the goal. The first goal, it was a really important one, and then, of course, you got that second one right at the end as well. But the first goal, talk us through that.
No, it's very important. In the last maybe 3-4 games, the team not good enough, but I love today the mentality. Play like this all together, and go again. It's difficult. It's difficult time, but especially in this game, I love the mentality.
Yeah, I think mentality will be the main thing that Spurs will take from that game, coming from behind to rescue a point. Let's just take a look, firstly, Jermain, at the goal that did equalise it from Cristian Romero. And I want to say it's one of the more strange overhead kicks I've seen in terms of overhead kicks that's resulted in a goal.
Yeah, I mean, it hits his shin pad. I suppose he's just got to, just try and direct it towards the goal. But I think when Newcastle see this back, they'll be disappointed that this goes in, because there's so many bodies in the box. Like, you'd like to think that, someone would clear it. Obviously, Ramsdale can't see the ball, and it's a poor goal to concede in that. But like I said, from a Tottenham point of view, the way they finished the game was strong, and that's what they'll need. I think the boys spoke about character, and being questioned. It's not nice, but that's a good point for Tottenham.
Should Newcastle have done better there?
Yeah, well, it comes obviously from the corner. If Ramsdale maybe gets height in the punch but doesn't get distance, and that gives Romero a chance to do the overhead kick, and then you see the numbers we've just lit up there, 1, 2 and 3. That's Shay, Howe and Burn, the three centre-halves. And it's just one of them ones, it's nearly like slow motion, like you're having a bad dream and it's just going past you and they don't react quick enough. Yeah. And then Ramsdale, as you rightly say, sees it late and it's just found the bottom corner. That happens sometimes, and it's a frustration from Eddie Howe and his team, because you thought, they've just done enough for that penalty to get over the line, to get the 3 points. But again, you'll just see when the ball comes in from the corner here. And this is obviously when it goes up in the air from Ramsdale. So it goes past 1, 2 and then the third centre-half. And I don't know if Byrne leaves it or whatever because he thinks it's that slow that Ramsdale's going to save it easy. Yeah. But he doesn't know that Ramsdale can't see it. And I suppose that a lot of goals have got in talking about offside. It shows you how much it affects. I'm not saying anyone was offside in that goal, but for players in the eye line of the goalkeeper, it's very late to react when it goes past them.
I was going to say, what is that kind of goal like from a goalkeeper's point of view? Would he have just not been able to see?
He wouldn't have seen it at all, really, because it come past them many bodies, and he would have thought that one of the centre-halves would have cleared it. So he's like searching for it. And if you look at this really carefully, the first time that Ramsdale will see this, after it goes past Byrne, he thinks the first one, number 1, is Cheryl cleared. Chow thinks he's cleared it, and then Byrne misses it, number 3. And by the time Ramsdale sees it, it's just when it goes past Byrne, and it's too late to react, and it finds the bottom corner.
OK, well, Newcastle did take the lead, and it looked like they were going to be heading for all 3 points, courtesy of a penalty. This one was given by VAR in the end. Jermain, what did you make of this?
When you watch it, I mean, it doesn't look too much, to be honest, but I did say at the time, you just can't hold for that long. And I think the fact that he weren't looking at the ball at any stage, I think that goes against him. That's what we said. I mean, it's a
really tight one, isn't it, Shay?
Yeah, it's a hard one to call, to be honest.
You're a Newcastle fan, you make no bones about it, but you weren't sure this was a penalty.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure. No, the referee, Thomas Bramall, didn't give it on the pitch. VAR, Paul Tierney, said, come to the screen, have a look. And I think when that happens, Paul Tierney is a very experienced referee looking at the VAR situation. He thinks it's, the referee announces that it's a penalty. But I think it's not a clear and obvious error on the pitch.
Well, as you can see here, this is the statement that the Premier League Match Centre have since put out. They've started a VAR review. The referee overturned the original decision of no penalty to Newcastle United. The referee's announcement on pitch was, after review, Tottenham number 30 makes a holding offence at the back post and clearly does not look at the ball. My final decision is penalty kick. Is there not looking at the ball?
I don't think that's an offence not to look at the ball. So I don't think that line really helps. It's obviously Bentancur's not looking at the ball, but Jermain mentioned his holding, but he's actually got his arms out. He's actually using his body, I suppose, to stop Byrne from going and heading it. But he's not actually holding him. You know, I think he's probably trying to be clever. Dan Burns a huge guy, as we all know.
Why is he not looking at the ball, though?
Well, because his job is to sort of block Dan Burn off. So he's watching Dan Burn and trying to block ball off.
But you have to do both.
Yeah.
I think the way the game is now, you have to do both. And Dan Burn's clever because what he does is, he sort of like does that, he gestures that like, I'm not touching him. Do you know what I mean? So
Jermain, it's a bit of a mismatch, isn't it?
He shouldn't be marking Dan Burn anyway.
Because he's tall.
No, he's a giant. So he has to use his body, his strength, and try and be clever.
He shouldn't be marking him.
Probably not, yeah.
But also, by not looking at him, he's kind of given the referee a decision, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but again, is that an offence not to look at the ball? No one says you have to look at the ball when you're defending it, do you? Your job could be a blocker, he could be, I don't know. I think it's generous. I mean, that's me coming from a Newcastle head on. And then at this stage of the game, you think, Gordon steps up, hits it away, 86th minute, it's 3 points, job done.
Yeah,
so I think probably looking at the Romero goal, maybe they got a better luck because they thought Newcastle could have cleared it. But then I think it's probably a fair result. I mean, I was surprised that Gordon took it, not in a bad way, but Voltomata took the last one in the Premier League and they were sort of passing the ball back and forth, and I just said, I just hope he doesn't miss after that, but it's a really confident penalty from Anthony Gordon. Yeah,
how do you feel when you see players on the pitch, kind of you're not sure who's going to take it?
You don't want to see it though, do you? I mean, a penalty taker, you should know who the penalty taker is. I mean, you practice them in training, and but obviously we've seen it now where sort of like someone else would hold the ball and that just to sort of like relieve a little bit of pressure. But it was going to be pressure anyway, but you always fancied him to score. You know, he was calm and, a good penalty taker.
Overall, who's going to be happier with this result, Jermain? Because it looked like neither were particularly pleased at
Tottenham. I think Tottenham, because I keep saying, the players were questioned, the manager's been questioned the last few fixtures and that, it's not nice. So the fact that they finished the game in that manner, I think for them, for sure. But you saw Eddie Howe's reaction. When you get 2-1 and you sort of like, you've got to see the game out. It's sort of like a knock-on effect. Ramsdale could have caught it or punched it further and, to prevent the chance. But I'll definitely say Tottenham for sure. Yeah,
it must be really frustrating for Newcastle because they got that elusive win on the road the other day. We spoke about these two sides having identical records coming into today, but we also said it felt like Newcastle were potentially building some momentum. Does this halt it at all?
Well, I think that's been the problem all season, consistency. So they won a game, lose a game, won a game, lose a game. At the weekend, they haven't won away from home. They beat Everton. They thought, they're back on track. And they felt before the game tonight, Tottenham at home, as you say, they're under a lot of pressure from their fans. The manager's supposed to be under pressure. It was a perfect game, I felt. And Newcastle won the last 4 competitive games at home to Tottenham as well. So all that into the mix, you think, it's going to be an easy 3 points. But it just shows you, I mean, the fight and the spirit with the Tottenham players and Romero as well. A real captain's performance from him tonight to get the 2 goals.
Yeah, as you can see, Spurs 11th in the table, Newcastle 13th, locked on 19 points. Where does this leave Thomas Frank? Does he end the evening in a better position than he did pre-match?
I don't think so. I think it's obviously it's a difficult place to go and win. But at the same time, they know you've got some tough games coming up. There's no easy game in the Premier League. On the road, Tottenham have been a lot better than at home. I think they need to try and find some decent home form. I think that's the important thing at the minute. The fans are not going to put with the home form and the performances, more importantly. Because like I said, you can lose games, but it's how you play and the demands and how the fans want to see the players play. And I think just the home form's got to change quick.
Yeah, so you didn't see anything in the performance tonight. Because, of course, he made a big call, didn't he? Mickey van der Ven not playing because he cited the fact that he's played loads of games in November. He made a big call, but did you see anything in the performance that suggests Spurs fans are going to see what they want from this team?
I think in the first half, obviously, it didn't really create much. But again, you can say that it's a hard place to go. You want to see the team create more chances. It don't seem like the manager knows that he's his best team yet. Like we said, I mean, Mickey was rested. Probably precaution. He's had a lot of hamstring problems and that. But just going forward, I think just better performances and a little bit more spirit. They showed fight towards the end, and that's all the fans demand, really.
Where are Newcastle in terms of their evolution? That's 11 points dropped from winning positions this season. We've seen the table; that isn't where they want to be. What's a realistic target for them going into the second half of the season?
Well, I think they invested heavily in the summer again, didn't they? And the owners and Eddie Howe himself will want to get back in the European places. Love to be Champions League, but the more and more points, Kelly, they drop, then that's a big stretch or a big ask. But again, January's around the corner. If they have to go again, will they dip into the market perhaps and strengthen? But I think Voltomata's been a big sign in the sense it takes time for the team to adjust to his strengths. We talk about it off air, how good he is with link-up play, how good his touches. He's a different striker to Isak, of course. But again, I think the team are learning to play with that. But again, it'll be frustrated. Just consistency. If you want to finish in the Champions League places, you have to be consistent, home and away. And again, it's just been a bit of an up and down season for them.
I'll tell you what, let's find out how the Newcastle camp are feeling. Here's their manager, Eddie Howe.
Eddie, it's a point apiece. How do you reflect on that performance tonight?
Don't think it was us at our best today. But we battled into a position that we wanted, obviously, with a few minutes left, and we just couldn't defend that corner at the end. Yeah, disappointing feeling, having worked so hard.
It took a while for the goals to come, but it felt like Newcastle had quite a lot of the control. There were a lot of chances as well. Did you feel like you had that the whole game?
Pretty much, yeah. I thought we were in the ascendancy. I think we had, as you say, some good chances in the game. It felt like the goal was slow in coming for us. We battled in the first half to try and break the deadlock. The keeper made a couple of really good saves. I don't think it was us at our very best, especially in the attacking half. But as I say, we did enough. We got ourselves in the winning position, and we just needed to defend the corner better.
Yeah, he looks frustrated there and said that wasn't Newcastle at their best, and that's a fair assessment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it's frustrated because, especially like I said, when you get the second goal, you want to try and see the game out, the game management. But he spoke about obviously the corner, just trying to. I would say with corner set pieces, it makes a big difference at the top level. You've got to make first contact. If you don't make the first contact, you've got to get a second ball. But like I say, if they watch that back, they'd be disappointed with that. Yeah, fine margins, isn't it? And we say it all the time in the Premier League, but Newcastle did, particularly in that first half, have a lot of the possession, have a lot of the chances, and they're just undone in both boxes. Yeah, it's frustrating because obviously Romero's equalised in 95th minute as well, so late in the game. You think the job's done, you think the 3 points, but we know in the Premier League it takes a second or two to score a goal. One or two players switch off, and even Romero, the overhead kick we showed before. There's no one in near him actually when he does it. I know we're talking about the defenders that block the shot, but there's no one actually in his face when he does the overhead kick. So that'll be frustrating for Eddie and his staff. Talk about set play, such an important part of the game. It's frustrating to concede so late in that manner as well. OK, well, it ended all level at St James's Park between Newcastle and Spurs 2-2.